morning, Nigeria. It's a bright Friday morning, and you are tuned into Daybreak Live Extra right here on Dominion Television. I am Samson Balogun, and as always, it's a pleasure to be your guide as we journey through stories shaping our world. And I'm Oluwayemi Adelaku. Fridays always carry that special energy, the perfect time to slow down, reflect, and realign before the weekend.
Absolutely. I'm Manolo Akwadobu, and together we'll bring you conversations that not only inform but also inspire, from the corridors of power to the pores of everyday life. Daybreak Live keeps you in the know.
All right, so here's what we have ahead of us today on the show. And we begin with Daybreak Gist, where we turn our attention to a story that's making waves nationwide. Why we arrested Omoyele Sowore in court, that's coming from the police. A development that's stirring questions about law enforcement boundaries, civic freedoms, and the state of democracy in Nigeria. We'll take a closer look at the events, the reactions, and what this means for justice and accountability in our country.
Then we bring you the weather update, followed by Daybreak News, your quick tour through the top stories making headlines across Nigeria and beyond.
And of course, our newspaper review and analysis segment, where we'll dive deeper into what's driving the headline and how it affects you, me, and everybody.
Now to our big story for today, rising from within, how emotional healing shapes better leaders, families, and communities. In a world often driven by pressure, pain, and performance, emotional healing has become not just personal, but powerful, fueling better decisions, deeper empathy, and stronger leadership. We'll explore how inner renewal can ripple outward to transform homes, workplaces, and even nations.
Joining us for this conversation is Olajumoke Ugudipe, Nigerian entrepreneur, consultant, and author. She's also the founder of Unwind Africa, a brand championing wellness and human capacity development across the continent.
And for our newspaper review and headlines analysis, we'll be joined by Lekon Shobowale, a journalist, seasoned public affairs analyst, and a good governance advocate.
It's going to be thought-provoking, heartfelt, and absolutely worth your time.
So grab your coffee or your morning tea and stay with us as we journey through today's stories, ideas, and emotions.
I grabbed mine. This is Daybreak Live Extra on Dominion Television, where insight meets inspiration. Let's get right into it.
Well, you might have to.
What was that for? What
should I say before you guys say?
You might have to hold on a little bit.
Okay.
You know.
So
maybe
simmer a little.
That's the spirit. Okay, so just calm down a little bit.
Very well.
Okay, it's good to have you guys on the show this morning.
A beautiful Friday morning to you.
It's a beautiful Friday morning. And Yemi is glowing. Probably she thinks, oh, today is Friday and I have to go relax a little bit.
You both agree. And I want to comment about something, but maybe later after the show.
Okay, you might just start. Probably you want to talk about my outfit.
No, it has to do with something on the face.
On
really.
the face?
Yes, yeah.
Variety, they say, despite of life. Let's enjoy the variety we have, guys.
No problem. After the show.
Okay, no problems. And I will remind you after the show. I would love to listen to that comment from you.
Problem.
But of course, we say thank you for joining us on the show this morning. There's something really pressing we want to talk about, and that's coming from the Nigerian police. They eventually explained why Omoyele Sowore was arrested in court yesterday. I mean, people were talking about boundaries. Why don't the police know their boundaries? I mean, why would you arrest someone in court? And, there are so many things people have said, but I honestly think people can be arrested anywhere. How about someone who was just discharged and acquitted in court and then was rearrested right after that, just outside the court, premises, and said, look, there are fresh charges against you, and then back into the police net. So these things do happen. How much more of someone would the police claim that for the 13 people that were arrested during the Free Nnamdi Kanu protest, all mentioned Omoyele Sowore, that it was the one that led them to restricted areas. So it will be an injustice to those who have been arrested not to go after Omoyele Sowore. I mean, they have a point there. But what will happen to them? Will they be charged to court? That's another question.
I think, let me start from the fact that the Nigerian police, let's say maybe they are doing their duties, but sometimes you question when they start doing the duty. Is it when people start talking? Because obviously, if you arrested the people there, one of the first persons you should go for is the leader of that protest, right? So if you take some people and you're now getting to know that, oh, it was Omoyele that sponsored this, so it was our ringleader, or before you now make an action.
I think they wanted to arrest all of them.
Because
but he ran.
And maybe he's a good sprinter. Let's say
he exercises. He's always,
Obviously.
you know, for marathons across the country, even outside the country, you always find him there. So he's fit, he's
maybe
healthy.
That was
so
why he escaped arrest at that point. But again, let's talk about the Nigerian police force. You know, Hundeyin, the PPR, came out to speak to the issue, and then they said that they needed to arrest him so that justice can be served. You know, just like my tea was served, Yemi's tea was served, and yours was served.
I think Yemi's own is more than mine.
That's why I'm allowing you.
Whoever did that really needs to pay.
We'll charge the person to court too. So definitely, when the police brought out this, I felt like, okay, people were already asking for this. Why not just do the first things first in a way to say, let's get this guy even before, because if you check social media, you see that people have been calling that, why get this guy and not sure? So they now say, okay, so let's go. So we went to the court. I mean, like you mentioned, anybody can be arraigned or can be taken anywhere. But my point now is, we've seen cases where the police would take someone into custody, and then the time the person is supposed to use legally in that custody will be violated, in the sense that the police will not release the person on time. And we've seen this not once, not twice. But the problem is now that they are going to let them go as soon as they are done with the investigation and some of the things they are doing. But we hope this is true. This is where I'm putting my question mark to say we are watching. Nigerians are waiting. If you say you detain those people, when is it likely for you to release them? Is it going to be within the frame of the law, the ambit of the law? And let's see what becomes of that.
Okay, I think it's within the rights of every Nigerian to say, I want to protest, or I want to join a protest. If you look at some of our political leaders, most of them have either been part of a protest or led a protest. But then my issue is this, because I saw a comment online, and some persons are saying, how democratic is it for you to get a court ruling to bar protesters from protesting at certain areas like Eagle Square and all of those things? So that's my concern this morning, because I mean, why was that, you know, taken into consideration? But then away from that, I think Showore should just have adhered to that to say, do not go to these certain areas. I mean,
should have listened.
A lot of places in Abuja where you can, you know, stage a protest, and then the government will feel it that, okay, there's a protest going on. I watched a video where some persons also protested in Toronto, even in some parts of the eastern states. So I don't think that was a cool thing for Showore to do at that point in time. Don't forget that even Kanu's lawyer was arrested, you know, a lawyer, Jimako.
And his brother.
And his brother. And people are saying, why was he arrested? Okay, it depends on how we can interpret the law now. Is it that it is not right for someone's lawyer to join a protest? Because that's what
according
that's what
to
they are saying.
A communique released by a lawyer, which I read, that you cannot be a part of a protest on a case you are currently on.
So that is justified.
He would have done that as a citizen. Before he became a lawyer, he was a citizen. So if it was just another case, he probably would have been able to join them. But because he was the one of the lawyers handling that case at the time, until they kind of fired them yesterday. So
so that's justified then, really, to say that he was arrested on that note. And I think the case is in court now, and then the judge will rule on that. But then I think Showore went a little bit further to say that, okay, we don't care whether there was a court ruling, we are going to protest in these areas. I think that was an affront on his part. But protest, you know, in all, I think it's a good one.
It's actually not a crime to protest.
Definitely.
I mean, everywhere around the world,
fundamental human right.
It is civil liberty. You can actually exercise your grievances against the government by, you know, protesting and making sure that it doesn't go out of hand, it doesn't get hijacked, and doesn't become violent. And one of the things I noticed was that while they were protesting, when he ran, he was mentioning something to people close to him that, let's go to Beggar, let's go to Beggar. He was saying that in that video. It means that he knew exactly where to go before he went to those places, restricted areas, as you put it. So I want to believe that it was more or less, see, no matter how undemocratic it seems, for the government to have banned them from protesting in so many places like the Eagle Square, the National Assembly, Aso Rock, and some other places, it might be undemocratic, but then they have a court injunction. There's a court ruling that says you cannot come here. And then going against the court order itself is a crime against the law. So that's, for me, is where he went overboard. I mean, that shouldn't have happened. But someone like Omoyele Showore should know better. But as you know him, as we all know him, Omoyele Showore will always want to, you know, be singled out for some things. He would want to be seen everywhere. So he doesn't shy away from time he was in school, if you read about him and of course witnessed some of the things he has done, he has always been at the forefront, in the mix of things, at the center of so many controversies. So he's not the type that shies away from criticisms. He's not the type that shies away from things like this. So most definitely, he knew what he was doing before he went there, and he knew what was going to come out of it.
Okay, I don't think he's even scared of this whole arrest. Someone that has been getting arrested since the 90s.
That's
very sure
the point.
This particular arrest, he already prepared for it.
He knew it was going to happen. He
Obviously
purposely placed himself out there.
I saw the video.
It was going to happen. I watched a video where he was trying to organize the Kano. I said something to him, "You'll be released soon." For someone that said that and he was arrested a few hours later, you imagine something like that. So I think he prepared for this arrest. It was definitely going to happen. He was arrested a few months ago and released, where a video came out that, okay, they did something bad to him, they broke his arm and the likes. I just hope something similar to that will not happen again. We'll not see videos of, okay, these people dealt with me severely and the likes. But I think he prepared for this arrest. And I think going forward, I think for someone who has been a presidential candidate twice, I mean, for ACC or something, that's his political party. So I think he should know better. You are doing a good thing for the country, a good cause, fighting for someone that I'm not even sure it was close to at any point in time. But that should work for you. But then at this point in time, I think going forward, if at all you want to stage a protest, can you follow the court ruling? Some persons are saying, okay, maybe it's not really proper to get a court ruling to bar people from protesting in certain areas. But then it has happened. The court has ruled. So follow the court ruling. Honestly, that's my take on this matter.
Let's quickly take a side swipe at the police. What is the role or the responsibility of police officers in protest? Showore said they already wrote to the Nigerian police that we're going to have a protest. So when you write to police or security agencies during protests, they're supposed to ensure that there's safety. They're supposed to ensure or help you ensure that there's no infiltration by other people to, take over the protest and make it become a nuisance to society, right? So that's like but again, one of the things we saw, because we were in the video I watched was saying that we are fighting for you. We are trying to speak to the government for you. He was talking to the police that we are trying to help you guys to get your welfare. We know you're not being taken care of. We know some of the things that you guys are going through, the remuneration, the salary scheme, and all of this. So it's something we are also trying to work to get better. But again, sometimes I wonder, what is the use of tear gas in some places? I'm not talking about the restricted places, but during protests, it's become a usual thing for Nigerian police officers or security agencies to just fire tear gas, even when you are not. I've seen this. I don't want to bring out the fact, but I've seen where normal civil protest and all of this is going on, and then the first thing they are doing is that they are just shooting tear gas. But these people are not even nearing those restricted zones yet, but you just want them to disperse. And these things, should we talk about the medical implication of that too? People's eyes and all of that.
People will die from that, really.
There are people who die from those kind of
Even
things.
without gunshots.
But can we make it better? I know people, even in outside climes and all of this, we've seen developed nations too. Nepal, like the last one we had, people died. There were tear gas and cannons, water cannons, and all of these things to disperse people. But sometimes we question how that is supposed to be. These people are innocent in a sense. They are protesting. They are not bandits. When we should attack bandits, we attack the right people, the innocent people. These people are just asking for their voices to be heard. It's not a point where you have to now target and say we will shoot. You've seen videos of police officers saying they will shoot. This is a protest. Nobody's fighting. There's no gun in my hand. I'm holding a flag. And I don't want to make mention of a particular event that became a national issue, that people were holding Nigerian flags and then they were still shooting at them. And this, I think it's high time we talked to the police too, to take it quiet, to take it a bit, yes, diplomatic.
Are you looking at the side of orders? Because it's not about the police now. I don't think any policeman would do that without, getting orders from...
That's what I wanted to talk about.
We can talk about the hierarchy, yes. The people are giving the
challenge now is that one of the things we sometimes overlook is that, at any time, when it is time to choose between national security and the rule of law, national security will always trump the rule of law. Yeah, it comes first. And yes, you mentioned that they wrote to the police, but then there was a court order, meaning the court order supersedes the letter written to the police and then supersedes whatever it is that is on ground. Now, the case of national security, don't forget recently, whether it is true or wrong, recently there was a communique, and of course there was a news that broke that there was a coup scare in the country, and then some people were like, oh, who were behind it and the likes. But then the government has come out to say it's not right. But for every lie out there, there's an iota of truth. So you might want to come from there and go and say, look, they are trying to protect the country, trying to protect national infrastructures, and trying to forestall any form of uprising in the country. So because if you juxtapose what happened there now in Abuja a few days ago to what happened in Nepal and so many other places in the country, it started that way before it metamorphosed into something bigger. So it is better for you to stop it at that very beginning than wait until it becomes a problem. Now, people got injured. There was tear gas everywhere. But it was minimal to what would have happened when it becomes a bigger protest and then it turns out to a violent one and then it gets out of hand. So I think in one way or the other, when taking strategic decisions like this, people will still have to bear the brunt. Some people, a few people, will have to bear the brunt. And that bolts on national security. So if the federal government wants to help the Nigerian people, one of the first things they will have to do is to provide adequate security. Now, if it snowballs out of hand, becomes a problem. It is not just the people at the corridor of power that will bear the brunt. Even the people who do not care about the protest will have to pay the price. So these are challenges that the government do face sometimes when it comes to making strategic decisions.
Here's why I brought that perspective, right? The body language of maybe the government or the police has not been favoring protest. And we've outlined that a protest is something I should do if I want to express my grievance, right? It's my human right, right? I can say we want to protest because we are not saying this government we are speaking truth to power, help us with this and all of this. But what becomes of an average person, let me tell you, from what happened at NSAS protest, a lot of people have changed their mindset about protest. A lot of people would never protest in Nigeria again.
Right. It's sad, but then I also want to add that, you see, the kind of energy we use on protesters in Nigeria, if you can adopt the same thing on bandits and terrorists, it would have been, a very good role. I think we would have gotten headway in this issue of insecurity. A few days ago, some bandits, about 400 of them on bikes, attended a wedding ceremony.
I saw the video.
They had a great time, and when they were done, they left peacefully, and nothing happened. 400. About 400 of them.
A very good number of them. You needed to see. They
were wearing camo. There was no tear gas.
Guns, big guns.
There was nothing. So what would you make of that? Let me also cite another example. I think I read a story this morning. A lady was kidnapped in Edo State. And then they released a video to say, if you don't pay 20 million naira, we're not going to release her. In a country where we have BVN, we have NIN, we have drones, but then we cannot.
To what account are you paying that money?
You wonder. We cannot
trace
those persons. But when it comes to protesters, we have the tear gas. It's a sad situation. We are not trying to justify what Showore did by working against the court ruling, but then certain things must be talked about. Can we begin to develop the same energy? I mean, for the so-called bandits and terrorists. And then we have headway in the country. It's a sad one.
Above all, one of the most important things for the government to do is to look at some of the areas where the government is failing. And that is actually protecting the Nigerian people. And that includes on protest grounds too. The responsibility of the police, especially when they have been written to, even if they were not written to, is to make sure lives and properties are safe during and after protests. So this is one thing they should look at. I mean, this is the primary objective of the government anyway. So it's
quickly. I saw a video. There was a time there was a protest in Lagos, and police officers were handling pure water, maybe chewing gum, and
they were giving them snacks,
even biscuits. And I clapped my hands, really. I literally clapped my hands for this is the right way, right?
Even biscuits were being distributed.
I mean, it's just everybody is just expressing. We're not killing nobody. We're expressing our minds. Now, again, let me say this because, of course, Kanu listed 23 people. Governors were there, Balarabe, and some other people. I think somebody was also listed as his witnesses. I mean, that's another part.
I was about to go there, but we don't have too much time.
We do not.
He fired his lawyers in court yesterday, and he represented himself. I mean, that's quite massive. All right, this will be the convenient point to draw the curtains on this segment of the show this morning. We say thank you for being a part of the show so far. Do well to link up with us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. You can watch us live on our website, www.dominion.org.ng, dominion.org.ng. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, click on the notification bell, and of course, you get to watch us live each time we come online. All right, let's go on a quick break. While we return with a weather report, we'll be back.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Casts. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live Extra right here on Dominion Television. Now it's time to take with the report on this style. This morning I will be starting with the ancient metropolitan city of hospitality, Ibadan, Oyo State capital. And weather currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius in Ibadan this morning. And later in the morning it will rise to 29 degrees Celsius and partly cloudy. In the afternoon, there will be scattered thunderstorms at 31 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy in the evening at 25 degrees Celsius and cloudy overnight at 24 degrees Celsius in Ibadan today.
All right, let's cross over to Abeokuta, South Ogun this morning. Weather feels like 25 degrees Celsius and later this morning is expected to be around 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. In the afternoon, 31 degrees Celsius, isolated thunderstorms around 34%. And in the evening, 26 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 10%. Overnight, 24 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 9%. That's what we have for Abeokuta South Ogun this morning.
And from Abeokuta South to Ekiti East, Ekiti State today, weather feels like 22 degrees Celsius. There are variations from morning to night. You would get to see the variations 27 degrees Celsius in the morning, mostly cloudy. There's showers expected in the afternoon at 30 degrees Celsius, 23 degrees Celsius evening. Cloudy, and overnight it's also cloudy at 22 degrees Celsius in Ekiti East, Ekiti State today.
Moving on to Oshogbo in Osun State this morning, weather currently feels like 24 degrees Celsius in Oshogbo, and it will be mostly cloudy later in the morning at 28 degrees Celsius. Scattered thunderstorms expected in the afternoon at 31 degrees Celsius. Partly cloudy in the evening at 24 degrees Celsius, and cloudy overnight at 24 degrees Celsius in Oshogbo today.
Well, let's drive down to Lagos this morning. Weather feels like 25 degrees Celsius, and later this morning is expected to be around 28 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 24%, and in the afternoon 29 degrees Celsius, showers around 42%, and the evening 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy around 16%, and overnight 26 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy around 10%. That's what we have for Lagos this morning.
No promise of showers in Ilorin East, Kwara State today because the weather feels like 24 degrees Celsius, slight variations from morning to evening, and then 29 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy in the morning, later in the afternoon, 34 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy, and it's mostly clear at 26 degrees Celsius in the evening, and overnight 24 degrees Celsius as well. It's cloudy in Ilorin East, Kwara State today.
All right, moving on in the North Central. This morning we head straight to Abuja, the federal capital territory this morning, as weather currently feels like 23 degrees Celsius in Abuja today. It will be mostly cloudy in the morning, later in the morning at 27 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy in the afternoon at 31 degrees Celsius, all clear in the evening at 26 degrees Celsius, and partly cloudy overnight at 23 degrees Celsius in Abuja today.
Well, let's cross over to Kaduna South. Kaduna, weather feels like 21 degrees Celsius this morning. Is expected to be around 27 degrees Celsius later this morning. Partly cloudy around 2%. In the afternoon, 32 degrees Celsius. Sunny around 0%. And in the evening, 23 degrees Celsius. Clear around 3%. And overnight, 21 degrees Celsius. Clear around 7%. That's what we have for Kaduna South.
And we head over to Kano Municipal, Kano State, Nigeria. Weather feels like 19 degrees Celsius today. And in the morning, 30 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. In the afternoon, 35 degrees Celsius, sunny, quite sunny. And evening, 24 degrees Celsius is quite clear. And overnight, 19 degrees Celsius, also clear in Kano Municipal, Kano State today.
And lastly, on weather reports this morning, we're straight to the southern part of the country, and that's Port Harcourt, River State this morning. Weather currently feels like 21 degrees Celsius in Port Harcourt, and there will be scattered thunderstorms later in the morning at 25 degrees Celsius, 46% chance, and there will be thunderstorms in the afternoon at 26 degrees Celsius. Mostly cloudy in the evening at 22 degrees Celsius, and overnight almost similar at 21 degrees Celsius in Port Harcourt today. That will be all on weather reports this morning. Thank you for being a part of the show so far. Let's go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll take the news. We'll be back.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Hello and welcome. This is Daybreak News on Dominion Television. My name is Anoluakpo Idowu. President Bola Tinubu has sworn in Professor Joash Amugwiton, a senior advocate of Nigeria, as the new chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Amugwiton took the oath of office at the council chamber of the presidential villa in Abuja. President Tinubu further charged Amugwiton to protect the integrity of Nigeria's elections and the electoral process, as well as strengthen the institutional capacity of INEC. Amugwiton's emergence followed the expiration of the tenure of former INEC chairman Mahmood Yakubu. Meanwhile, the newly sworn-in chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amugwiton, has vowed to restore credibility and public confidence in the country's electoral system. Speaking shortly after his inauguration by the president at the State House, Amugwiton declared that his mission was to deliver free, fair, and credible elections while deepening democratic values across the nation. During his first official meeting with the Commission's directors, he stressed that achieving INEC's mandate would hinge on teamwork, discipline, and integrity within this institution. The Energy Commission of Nigeria, ECN, has reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to tackling electricity challenges in public hospitals and universities through increased investment in renewable energy. The Director General of the ECN, Dr. Mustapha Abdullahi, disclosed this in a statement issued to mark his 2 years in office. According to Abdullahi, The first phase of the project has been successfully implemented at the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital in Kano, General Hospital Bangi in Niger State, the Enugu Research Center, and the University of Abuja. He added that several communities in Benue, Kebbi, Kaduna, Ekiti, and Osun State have also benefited, while more institutions have been listed for the second phase. The Nigerian police force has explained that the arrest of activist and politician Omoyele Sowore was to ensure fairness in the prosecution of those involved in the protest held on Monday in Abuja. Force Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hundeyin disclosed this while addressing newsmen in Abuja. Hundeyin said Sowore, who allegedly led protesters into a restricted area during a demonstration in support of detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu, was arrested to ensure that justice is evenly applied to everyone involved. He further stated that Sowore would not be detained beyond necessary legal limits. The Oyo State government has officially terminated the contract for its 8.2 billion naira 11-megawatt independent power project IPP, citing underperformance and eventual shutdown of operations at the facility. The development was confirmed by the State's Commissioner for Energy and Mineral Resources, Professor Dawood Shongodoyin, during a media chat in Ibadan. According to Professor Shongodoyin, an assessment conducted after he assumed office in May revealed that the first phase of the project, designed to generate 5 megawatts, was producing only about 2.6 megawatts, with the state government utilizing roughly 1.5 megawatts. With the new contracts now terminated, the Oyo State government has redirected its efforts toward developing a new 12-megawatt power project, assuring that the state remains committed to tackling energy challenges and pursuing innovative solutions that will support your state's broader development goals. However, the new project is scheduled to commence within the next 4 months. Away from Oyo State now, no fewer than 29,000 out-of-school children have graduated from a literacy and numeracy catch-up clubs program implemented by Save the Children International in collaboration with the Kano State government. The program benefited children aged 6 to 13 from 3 local government areas who had either never attended school or had dropped out, allowing them to reintegrate into formal education. During the graduation ceremony, the executive chairman of the Kano State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBEB, Yusuf Kabir, represented by the Director of Social Mobilization, Balarabe Jazuli, stated that the children are now prepared to continue their education in formal schools. The catch-up clubs aim to enhance children's foundational learning within a short period. And in business, the federal government, through the Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, has approved uniform sale prices for various housing units under its Renewed Hope Estate program across all states of the Federation. The housing units, which comprise 1, 2, and 3-bedroom semi-detached bungalows, are part of the ministry's effort to make home ownership more accessible and equitable for Nigerians. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Ahmed Dangiwa, stated that the adoption of uniform selling prices was aimed at promoting affordability, transparency, and fairness, ensuring that Nigerians across all regions have equal opportunities to benefit from the program. Dangiwa explained further that priority in the allocation of the housing units will be given to low and middle income earners, civil servants at all levels of government, and employees in organized private sector with verifiable sources of income, and Nigerians in the diaspora who wish to own homes in the country. In sports, Nigeria's match officials were noticeably absent from the official list of referees released by the Confederation of African Football, CAF, for the upcoming AFCON 2025 training camp in Egypt. CAF unveiled the list on Thursday afternoon, and it featured no Nigerian representative among the selected officials. According to the release, 33 referees, 36 assistant referees, and 11 video assistant referees (VAR) have been invited to participate in the intensive preparatory program. The training camp, which is part of CAF's build-up towards the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, will take place in Cairo, Egypt in December. This development comes as a surprise to many, given Nigeria's history of producing top-level match officials in continental competitions. And that's about it. You can visit our website on Dominion www.dominion.org.ng to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. And that's Daybreak News. I am Anoluapo Ido. Thanks for watching.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram at Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
welcome you back. Thank you for staying with us this morning. This is Newspaper Headlines Analysis. And I have with me in the studio, Leko Shobowale, a journalist and public affairs analyst. Welcome on board this morning.
Yemi, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. Let's start from this story that says on Daily Independent, actually, Nnamdi Kanu defends self in court, sacks legal representatives, and the funniest part of this thing is lines up Wike, Danjuma, Uzodimma, others as witnesses. What do you make of this story? Because, I mean, lawyers are still contesting the fact that, you know, the court is saying a lawyer that is representing someone in the court cannot join the process, and because of that, we've seen back and forth where Kanu's lawyers were, you know, were arraigned in court because of this, and now he has sacked all his legal representatives and is set to defend himself in court. What do you make of that, really?
Yes, that will be the second time Nnamdi Kanu will be doing that.
Okay.
I remember he did that, I think, like 2 months ago, before veteran legal practitioner Kanu Agabi, before he took over the case then 2 months ago. But now, he has done the unthinkable again, you know. He has sacked the legal team again, and he said he wants to defend himself. You know, Nnamdi Kanu believes that the lawyers are not doing the job right, and so the best thing is he wants to defend himself. Yes, I don't know if that can be possible, but he was in court yesterday, and he did that. He defended himself yesterday, and that was when he listed that long list of Nigerian politicians, you know, the likes of Wike, Sanwo-Olu and co. And talking about the list, you know, it caught so many people unaware, and it was not really funny because, you know, observers, you know, and stakeholders, you know, they were asking that what was the reason for such a long list of Nigerian politicians. And I was reading this morning that our court has summoned the likes of Wike, Uzodimma and co. Court has summoned them to court. I don't know what Nnamdi Kanu want to achieve with that. And some people, I was reading, some people have been commending him, they have been praising him. I don't really understand that if you have listed Wike, you know, they are talking about, you are answering questions on terrorism, and you are now linking Wike, you are linking Sanwo-Olu, you are linking Uzodimma to acts of terrorism in which you are currently facing. I don't understand, but, well, the case is already in court, and we are not going to preempt the court, so we keep our fingers crossed, and we are watching.
Okay, so what do you also make of the arrest of Omoyele Sowore in the other court, you know, recently? Because Nigerians are saying, why was he arrested in the court of law? He has every right to protest. Don't also forget that, you know, the court ruling says you are not allowed to go to certain areas to protest, but then you can do your protest. But then he violated that law, and maybe that's why, definitely that was why he was arrested, according to the police.
See, I mean, there are two ways to it. Number one is Omoyele Sowore. He has always been, you know, Yoruba will say customer dada. He has always been a regular customer at the Nigerian police stations and the rest. So that is not new. And then number two is that there is no way you will have arrested 10 people from that protest, and you are now leaving behind the leader
Of the
and
protest.
the organizer of the protest. No, you know, those people you have arrested may not really give you the reasons for the protest. You know, so it is very important that you have to also quiz Omoyele Sowore, who is the leader, who is the initiator of the protest. So I think the Nigerian police, you know, is justified, you know, as far as that arrest is concerned. And number two is that if they have warned you that they are not saying you should not protest. You can peaceful protest, no problem. But they said you don't go beyond this area, you know, restricted areas. You know, that means you have violated, you know, a law.
Is that democratic, really? Saying you are not allowed to protest in these areas?
It is very, very democratic. Very, very democratic. You know, democracy is not only about throwing caution into the wind. You know, okay. In 2011, 2012, there was a protest in, yes, I think 2011, during this fuel subsidy, you know, and when former President Goodluck Jonathan, you know, removed subsidy. There was a very serious protest in Oyo State, in Ibadan specifically. And protesters, numbering about thousands of them, they protested and they were about to enter into the governor's office through that bridge, you know, through that Secretariat bridge. And that was the reason why the then former governor, late Abiola Jimobi, shut down that gate. You know, they almost caught the governor unaware. And later, Governor Jimobi was in the office. I was there. I was covering the protest. So it was only God that saved late Governor Abiola Jimobi. You know, you cannot just, you know, you cannot be saying because you are protesting, then there are restricted areas which you cannot just go. And you want to go to Asofila. Asofila is a restricted area. So there is a limit to where you can go around that villa. So from all indications, Omoyele to some extent violated that rules and the law. And third is that even those, you know, the original owner of this issue, the Igbos, they are now blaming Omoyele Sowore. Because they are saying that they are already, you know, exploring a way of negotiation and dialoguing with the federal government on the amicable resolution, on, you know, peaceful way of letting Nnamdi Kanu go. So Omoyele Sowore, you know, he came and he scattered, he shattered. In the last 3-4 days, they have been condemning his actions. That he's no longer helping them. That now he's now taking them back 10 steps backward.
But some bodies are showering praises on Sowore, the likes of, you know, Serap is saying, okay, he has to be released as soon as possible. Even Arawa, I think I read a story around that to say he should be released.
See, let me tell you something. You know, yes, Serap can be saying that, you know, looking at it from the angle of human rights. You understand? But we should all understand that, yes, there are fundamental human rights. But even these fundamental human rights, there are limitations to it. You understand? Nobody is saying, Sowore has been, even during the protest, he has been moving around. You know, nobody has harassed him, nobody has arrested him. But the truth of the matter is that those people, the G. Mako, what's the name of the lawyer, that were arrested, they were arrested because they went beyond, you know, their area of protest. You know, if you observe very well, even in this protest, you observe that there are police vans following them. You know, the policemen following this protester, they started shooting at the stage when they were going beyond the limits. So, you know, this has nothing to do with, we all saw it, we all watched the video clips, you know, we all watch it on national television and the. So it is not about, it is not the question of, you know, Sowore. The Nigerian police force has said they are not going to detain him unnecessarily long, you know, but hopefully they are taking him to court this morning. They are not charging him because, you know, he protested. They are charging him on the basis that he led the protest beyond the restricted areas. If they are saying, no, they are restricted, even in our locality, you know, media houses are restricted areas. That when you are protesting, you don't just go into the media houses. Security offices, they are restricted areas. So the presidential villa, the governors are residents, they are restricted areas. You know, so you don't. Omoyele Sowore and the other protesters, they knew this, and they, you know, it was deliberate. And don't forget, when you're having things like this, look at the thousands of people in that protest, and they are saying they are marching to Jaso. For what? You know, remember the Bangladesh, the Nepal, the Egypt. You know, you cannot just overlook all these things. You know, so for me, yes, the police has done what I think it is right for them to do, but we should be seeing the case in the courts now.
Definitely.
Yes.
And I want to believe that the court will do the right thing on
Yes.
that matter. On Platform Times, I have this headline that says, reps move to stop landlords from hiking rents beyond 20%. Reps decry rent surge from 800,000 to 2.5 million naira in parts of FCT. Urge federal government, state to enforce fair housing and rent regulation. I think it's a national issue, apart from FCT. Even here in Ibadan, sometimes you see that, some landlords will just hike from maybe 500,000 to 800, some to 1 million. And at that point, you see that some persons cannot afford it, while some persons can still afford it. I watched a video yesterday. A woman was lamenting. She said, I don't know why our landlord decided to hike the fee. Because of that, some guys would do some certain things, were the ones that actually paid. And so she was left with no other choice but to pay as well, because these guys can pay. What do you make of it? It's a good one, actually. How can we extend this? I mean, even to other parts of the country, not just FCT.
Yes. This has in Lagos State. I think a few months ago, they made mention of something like this. But let me tell you, in Abuja, I think is unbecoming now in Abuja, because see, most of the civil servants working in federal ministries and pastoral in Abuja, they now lived outside Abuja. They live along Nasarawa, Lafia, and my experience in Abuja, you see civil servants on Monday, they pack their clothes in their car. They come to their offices, they come to their secretariats. After the close, they will be at their offices. There was a time the federal ministries and pastoral stopped their workers from sleeping in the office. Some of them used to sleep in their offices. At the time they stopped them from sleeping in their offices. Recently I was in Abuja and I saw civil servants. I was at one hotel in Wuse 2. And I had a cause to, I left the hotel very early in the morning, around 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. And I saw cars, good cars, parked in front of those hotels. And I saw people, adjusting their seats. They were sleeping. And I asked a friend of mine that came to the hotel to pick me, and I asked him, well, why? And my friend said they are civil servants working in federal ministries. You understand? Because they cannot afford the house rents in Abuja Metropolis. And it will be very difficult for them to go back to their house after 4 or after 5. Some of them, they close 6, 7. So they have no choice than to find a place. You see them as early as 4:35, they are awake. You see them, they brush, they clean up, and they dress up, and they go back to their car, and they be relaxing. And when it is 7:30, they go to the office. So I think, it's a good thing if the House of Reps can see this through. Even in Ibadan here, those people you are talking about, because they have the money. As a matter of fact, in Ibadan, those people you are talking about, they are the major cause why we are having a serious hike in house rents now in Ibadan. In Ibadan now, you'll be talking about two bedroom stuff. They'll be asking you to go and bring 600,000. They'll be talking about 450, 500,000 in some areas. You'll be talking about a self-con. They'll be telling you to go and bring 300,000, 350, 400,000 for self-con. But if you cannot pay as a civil servant, but those guys can pay. So it's a good thing, even before now, we have legislation to that effect, that guides, that guides the process of, the acts between the tenants and the landlords. But gradually, all these things are going down. Maybe because that power is residing with customary courts. What I will advise the House of Reps to do is to bring it away from customary courts. And maybe the power can reside with the high courts. I think that will be better, We take it to the state high courts. So, it will not be within the jurisdiction of the customary court. Because, this thing is becoming alarming and so serious. So, but yes, it's a good step, being taken by the House of Reps.
Okay, can we also talk about agents too? Because I think they are part of this whole thing, and a lot of them contribute immensely. Because I've seen cases whereby the landlady or the landlord will say this, the rent of this apartment is 250, and by the time the agent will give you the price, you'll be earning around 450 or 500.
Yes.
Really, don't you think an association should be created that you cannot just wake up one morning and say I want to become an agent, and then you start inflating the price of apartments?
Yes. See, the truth of the matter is that it still boils down on this legislation that the House of Reps is talking about. In this, you have the landlord, you have the tenants, you have the agents or the caretaker. So you understand that, yes, if your landlord is giving his house out at 150,000, okay. The agents can say, okay, 5% of the house rent. Some of these should also be legislated. It should be documented. You understand? That should be a uniformity. You understand? It is not that landlord is giving his house out at 150,000, an agent will be asking for another 150,000 naira, make it 300,000 naira for a self-con. So all this should be parts and should be, content of the legislation that the House of Reps is being proposed. So all together should be in that legislation.
I think it's a fine place to leave that, honestly.
Yes.
Let's talk about this headline on The Nation that says transparency, credibility, integrity must define elections, says Tinubu. Amukpito Anambra poll will demonstrate INEC's high standard. There's an election coming up in Anambra State,
yes.
and that is like the first assignment of Amukpito. But Nigerians are saying, okay, we trust this man looking at his profile and all, but then with the system not failing.
As usual, one of the major problems we have in Nigeria is systemic failure. But I want to believe, because Anambra State election is just one straight jacket election. You understand, it's just one state. So it will be very easy for him, because he will be deploying a whole lot of electoral commissioners to Anambra State.
Okay.
They will be deploying thousands of security agents to Anambra State. You cannot really measure what Amukpito will do in 2027. You cannot measure it. You cannot measure it with Anambra State election. It's just one state election. But whatever happens in Anambra State, it will give us a hint, of what may likely happen in 2027. But and also don't forget that Anambra State is a peculiar state. This is a state that has been under the leadership of ABGA. And, of course, everybody knows that it will be so difficult. Naturally, it will be so difficult for any political parties in Anambra State to take Anambra State from the ABGA. It will be very... So,
but with the way APC is going, you don't think anything can happen?
See, there is nothing special about APC.
Okay.
You hear me? Soludo several times has visited President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has pledged his loyalty. As a matter of fact, even the APC in Anambra State, they are even, accusing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you understand, of unnecessary, patronizing, Governor Soludo. You understand?
Okay.
You remember that a few months ago, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was visited Anambra State, where Soludo commissioned so many projects. And all through, it was commendation galore by President Tinubu to Soludo. And Soludo has already pledged loyalty to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is going to support him in his second term bid. So I don't really see anything special. You don't
see any strong candidates?
At all. There is nothing, because the body language of the president, is for Professor Charles Soludo and ABGA. And don't forget that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is having Bianca Ojukwu in his government, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. Bianca, till this morning, is the leader of ABGA in Anambra State. So whatever Bianca says, it happens. So for me, I don't see any serious contest in Anambra State, 80% is going to be, APGA all the way, because APGA naturally they control Anambra State. So, with the body language of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Charles Oludo has been a very good friend all the way. So, and President has assured him, with his body language that he's with him. So, you don't expect what happens in Edo State to happen in Anambra State.
Because people said the same thing with Edo State. It was a very strong PDP state.
No, because President Tinubu, from inception, you will see that President Tinubu even intervened. When Dennis Dausa won the primary election, later, President, there was a kind of crisis. Monday Okpebolo won. Dennis Dausa won. They have like 2 or 3 primaries, with 3 winners. President Tinubu called all of them together and solved the issue with them and told Idausa, go and be deputy governor. Okpebolo, go and be governor. I want Edo State. Because Obaseki 4 years ago was telling President Tinubu then, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that Edo State is not Lagos. But Bola Tinubu, when he became the president, was telling what's his name, Obaseki, that Edo is going to be Lagos, and that was what happened during that election.
Okay, let's see how Anambra will take this election. Let's see what the electorates will do. It depends on them. A big thanks to you, Liko Shoboale, a public affairs analyst and journalist, for being a part of this session. Okay, we need to take a short break now. When we come back, Big Story will come up. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Need a professional space to bring your vision to life? Dominion Television Studios offers state-of-the-art facilities perfect for your next broadcast, commercial, corporate video, or live event. With flexible rental options, cutting-edge equipment, and a supportive team, we provide the perfect environment for high-quality productions. Unleash your creativity. For bookings, email us at marketing@dominion.org.ng. Call us on 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. Book your space today. Dominion Television, your channel of choice.
All right, good morning and welcome to the Big Story on Daybreak Live. Today's conversation takes us beyond the surface, into the quiet places of the heart, where true change begins. Our topic is rising from within and how emotional healing shapes better leaders, families, and communities. In a fast-paced world, that praises productivity over peace. Many people lead, parent, or serve from a place of exhaustion rather than wholeness. But what is healing? And of course, what if healing, not hustle, is the foundation for better leadership and stronger communities? That's what we are unpacking on this show today. Samson Balogun is my name. Thank you for being a part of the show. At the center of this vital conversation is Olajumoke Ogundipe, founder of Unwind Africa, a lifestyle and wellness brand helping individuals, families, and teams reset, reflect, and rise. A graduate of mass communication from Olabisi Onabanjo University, a broadcaster herself, and an alumna of the Firth Foundation School of Entrepreneurship. Olajumoke combines storytelling, consulting, and experience designed to inspire emotional and, of course, balance and personal renewal. She's also the voice behind Unwind and Thrive on Echo FM 89.7, where she shares heartfelt reflection on resilience, rest, and emotional clarity. With 4 new books ready for print, her work continues to spark conversations around human capacity, development, wellness, and mindful leadership. Today's discussion centers on how emotional healing goes beyond personal growth. It's about reshaping how we lead, parent, and build society. Some key talking points that we'll be looking at today is how unresolved emotional pain silently affects leadership decisions and workplace culture, why families and communities mirror the emotional health of their leaders and members, the role of self-awareness, reflection, and the rest in developing emotional intelligence, practical steps for leaders and parents to prioritize emotional healing, how creating safe spaces for vulnerability can strengthen trust and productivity and connection too. Through Olajumoke's lens, we'll see that healing is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the foundation for authentic leadership and sustainable impact. Thank you for being a part of the show. Olajumoke Ogundipe, good to have you in the studio.
Good morning, Ringa. Thank you.
There's a lot to unpack on the show this morning. And most definitely we'll be talking about what healing truly means. Some see healing as weakness, vulnerability. When can we start seeing healing as strength for the people?
Take, for instance, somebody who gets married, marries the love of his life. He has these dreams, these big dreams, this vision. He wants to be a perfect father, a perfect husband, a perfect leader. Perhaps he wants to be an entrepreneur, wants to create a world that is new, that is impactful. He has a couple of seeds in his pocket. He has what it takes to do what he says he wants to do. And then, of course, as he begins to plant, some falls on rocky grounds. Some actually falls on a little bit of soil, springs up very quickly, and then dies. And he begins to wonder, what am I doing wrong? While he's at it, he keeps working at different plants, the same time. And every time he looks up, it's not to pause. It's not to regain strength. It's not to, restore his exhaustion. It is to look up and say, what is my neighbor doing? Why is the field greener on the other side? So this man is exhausted, he's tired, he's angry. A lot of people have called him a fool. He's wounded, he's sick out of extensive staying in the sun and being beaten by rain. This man, when he gets home, what kind of husband do you think he will be? He's bruised, he's hurt, his dreams are not coming alive, his work is not, his hustle, as we say, is not showing forth. But instead of pausing, he comes home with bruises from his work, wounds from his exhaustion, and he begins to bleed on his family. This man is sick. We're talking about healing this morning. We do not talk about healing without talking about somebody who is sick. This person is unwell. And this is the picture of almost everybody we see around today. We are running as if something is chasing us. We are running as if we are chasing something. But oftentimes, we find out that it's simply an illusion because you don't seem to catch what you're running after. And nobody is stopping to say something is wrong. Let me stop, and perhaps I can be restored again to see clearer, to find out a better way
of doing things.
So we go about with wounds. We become imperfect leaders. We become imperfect husbands. We become imperfect father. What would that give us? You don't function well at work. You don't function well at home. You become isolated. Because if you do not love people, if you don't love yourself, you can't love people, right? And a sick man cannot love people genuinely. He cannot. He's exhausted. He's tired. And he needs to be restored.
That takes us to defining moments. There are defining moments in one's life. And talking about healing, there are points where you get to know that, yes,
you are sick.
I am bruised and I need to heal. And people they seem to miss this particular point. They get past it so quickly that before they know, they are doing something else. How can someone determine where that defining moment is and when to pause and re-strategize?
What we have often seen is people knowing that indeed I am sick, but they are not stopping to heal. Anybody that drives, would see that when your car is about to break down, something is about to go wrong, it begins to flash lights. There are lights coming up. Okay, this needs maintenance. Your tire needs this. Same goes with our bodies. We have these signals, nagging headaches, crankiness, exhaustion. It is there. But we are not listening. On the radio this week, my co-presenter was asking me that how do I tell my boss that I need to rest? These things is not that we do not know. People talk about, you must have heard it several times. People are like, I'm tired. And when somebody says, I am tired, I tend to listen. Because it's not because this person does not know that something is wrong. What he's saying to you is that I need help. I cannot stop because my family needs to be fed. My children's tuition needs to be taken care of. I need to keep going because I cannot stop. And so they do not stop until the situation becomes irreparable. Maybe they pass out at work, and we have often seen that. I was talking to my colleague sometimes ago, and she was mentioning to me a woman who was trying to get, she had seen that she had gotten to that crescendo, that height, that if I do not stop now, something might go wrong. And then she asks for a break. And then, when people look at you, you look fine, makeup and all. People can pass and you just look. But when people say, I am not fine, please let us listen. When they say, I'm tired, let us listen. And then the day that she would faint at work, they rushed her to the hospital and it was late. And we have seen these cases over and over and over. Wives are losing their husbands, husbands are losing their wives, children are losing their parents. And when that happens, what do you think would we have children out there with no proper care, children who have not been groomed, who have not been nurtured to stand on their own feet, to learn, because those who were supposed to train them, they have driven themselves to intense exhaustion, and they have now passed. So these kids, in their young age, they are forced to go to the street to take decisions they are not supposed to take, because they were thrust out there out of the irresponsibility. I would say irresponsibility, because the first responsibility of a parent is to stay alive. And it's not just a parent. The same applies to a visionary leader. You are building something. You have a passion. You are building a dream. You have a dream. You want to change the world. Okay, so you have this innovative idea. You are working on it. But we know that this is this body you're using, right? And you are not taking care of it. And so when you fall and you die, and you are built to a certain height, but it's a height that, if somebody takes it up from there, these hands that are taking it up, they are still frail. They are not steady enough to take it a lot higher. That's why we see around now companies are folding up. Dreams are dying because the brains behind them died too quickly.
There.
Yes. Yes. That is the story that we see so often, especially in our nation, Nigeria.
Now, very quickly, you mentioned something, just now about other people noticing when people need help. But oftentimes you overlook, and then just by appearance you think, oh, he's okay, nothing is wrong. I mean, you complain to people, I'm having slight headache, oh, you'll be fine, let's just get over this, let's get this done before you rest. I mean, this has affected so many people, even at workplaces. Exhaustions do happen. Personal businesses, you are working too hard and then you want to get things done. And even when you need help, people are not saying that you need help. Now, from the angle of people who are actually from family members, colleagues, who are meant to spot that this person actually needs help, needs rest, how do they determine, how can they know that this person actually needs to slow down?
Okay, so it is human nature to be sensitive. There are sometimes you look at someone, or their names or their thoughts just drops in your heart. And you know that this person is not fine. Makeup cannot cover it. The physical, the physical calmness cannot cover it. In fact, what I have seen is if somebody who is generally maybe like a normal person begins to talk too much, there's a problem. Those are indications.
The signs.
Yes. Or somebody who talks, normally withdraws is another problem. So let somebody ask, are you okay? And when somebody says, I'm fine, don't take it like that. If the person is fine, you will know. And I would say, if you do not want to know, don't ask. Like, if somebody happens to ask me, how are you, on a day that I am not fine, be ready to listen. You can joke, I'll say, sit down. I am not fine. This. Or hug me. I am not fine. But generally what we need, what can solve this situation is us staying in a community. Is us staying. So Nigeria has always been a community-driven kind of nation. Family meant something. Society meant something. Church, mosques, people are always in groups of people who truly cared. But now, over the past few years, there's this isolation. Everybody is living online. There
used to be a time when you miss church service. You will see people in your house.
Of course.
They will knock your door. We can't find you in church today.
What
if you miss prayers at the mosque, people will come to your place and say, what exactly is the problem? Why are you not here? But all of a sudden, in the last 15, 20 years, it slowed down.
How many people are asking these days? They will say, my own is enough for me. But you do not know that if you show up for somebody somebody else will show up for you. That is the benefit of being in a community. And a community that is mutually, beneficial. You love me, I love you. I am concerned about you. So when you are not so strong, I can see it, I can feel it. I can step in for you. I can step in for you. And if there's in the workplace too, we can have such community. You want to employ somebody, the moment you give them the offer letter, they become part of the family. Which means you do not always complain when they tender, I would like to go on leave. I do not have to be sick to go on leave. Why is a system created if you know you do not want me to go on leave? When I'm tired, I need rest. If you have given me a few weeks of the year, would I need to always come back with a doctor's report? Sometimes I just need to stop just for a while.
And take a break.
Yes, I always say, we're big fans. I teach entrepreneurship, human capacity development. I am a big fan of thriving. I'm a big fan of teaching people to succeed. But we need to begin to balance it. If we do not balance it, we will not achieve the success we so teach so
Was about to say that. Some people say stress truncates creativity. Is that right?
It does. When you are, in fact, rest the word rest only applies to those who are working. Anybody who is lazy, you don't. What do you need rest for? But when you were working and you were working and you were working and you are stressed, you start to decline in terms of creativity. But this that I'm saying, it has happened. I've experienced it firsthand. I'm able to come up with the best things while I am pausing, while I'm resting. Sometimes, when I'm resting, it comes alive. I'm like, what? What kind of idea is this? If I were still at it, trying to figure out, oh, yes, this thing must work. It must work. It must work. You're making mistakes after mistake after mistakes. Or perhaps you're not even making mistakes. The things are working. But we know that the things that work also stresses. So when we pause, we have the best time to rejuvenate, to renew used fuel as it is. And then when we come back up, you might have maybe the next idea that will shift whatever you're pushing 10 years ahead. Because you decide to pause, to rest. There's something they say in Yoruba, Ojo Pul, Ojo Semi or something. I don't know what kind of thing is that. Whoever came up with that I don't understand. What is that? So when you die, what happens? What continues? The world continues without you. But everything you are supposed to do right here stops. You live with everything you're supposed to give humanity.
Sometimes unfulfilled.
Very much so. Very much so. A lot of people who, have gotten to the hospital enough time, given a few more maybe days before they die. I'm sure if we are able to interview them and ask what are your regrets, we'll be shocked at what they will say.
Okay, let me go into this very quickly. I have this triple T acronym. I mean, it's more or less like a philosophy. Okay. Take note, take care, and take charge. Now, these are things I do by myself. But you have this particular one, rest, reflect, and rise. So what inspired this philosophy of yours?
Rest, reflect, and rise. When you rest, it's a place of calmness. And what calmness gives you is clarity. Everything that seemed to be gray, all the gray areas, begins to light up. It's just the natural way. It's just the natural way. Everything that seems to be dying out, when you pause from it and just sit back and say, let me just take a break on this. It brings clarity. And when you have clarity, you have a chance of a do-over. And when you have a chance of a do-over, you often always do it right. And when that happens, of course you rise. Of course you rise. And it applies across board. Across board. In your relationships, in your workplace, in your community, if you're a leader, this applies across board. Okay, so if you're losing people around you, why am I losing people? Perhaps I have an analogy of a man who says, follow me and I'll give you gold. And perhaps once upon a time, he had the gold to give. But when the people followed him, they realized that he didn't really have this gold. Perhaps he had overworked himself and used up the gold without refilling, going to mine new ones, or, And when they notice that, what do? He loses credibility with them. They stop trusting him. When they stop trusting him, they stop following him. He stops becoming that impactful leader. He stops becoming that giver. And somebody like that, if he eventually finds somebody, other people following him, they eventually be like him or worse. Empty, they have nothing to give, because the one who is leading them has nothing to give as well.
So followers often emulate the characters of the leaders.
Eventually, if they are not wise enough to live, they copy. And that applies to families a lot. If you check it, the way the father behaves, the way the mother behaves, always screaming. When you're exhausted, you scream. You scream. When you're tired, you are tired. You are not resting. What comes out of it is you are cranky all the time. And when you are cranky all the time, your decisions, the way you approach things, everything begins to reflect on your feelings, your emotions, anger, unforgiveness, a lot of things that you're supposed to tidy very quickly. You can't tidy it. And so the children start looking. That's how daddy does it. Daddy screams at it. You don't scream at situations. The world, things do not change because you shout a little louder. What happens is you get more results in the quiet time. Yes, in the quiet time.
You created Unwind Africa.
Yes.
What inspired you? And what is Unwind Africa about?
Okay, so after the COVID, I began to notice a few things. Nigeria has always, we were known for something, something. And we were called one of the happiest nations in the world, right?
On earth.
But I began to see that we were losing something. And it wasn't oil. It was joy.
Not oil, but joy.
It was joy. Before then, people were not, the nation had its own challenges. Almost like what we have today, just a few other dimensions. But we were still called one of the happiest nations of the world. But people began to frown. People began to get a lot more exhausted. They began to lose their happiness. So I said, okay, this is not, and they began to stay more isolated. We started seeing more cases of suicide, right? I said, okay, we can't do everything, right? But we can do something. Let's create a concept. Let's create a community where people can unwind, a system where people can relax, rejuvenate, and then come back up and do better. That way you find yourself, you find your peace, you find your joy, and then you're able to do better. And so that's what Unwind Africa is about. We partner with resorts, hotels, spa companies, cinema houses, to help, people have discounted access to, rejuvenating methods. I want to go for a spa. You have, okay, you call us and, okay, we check our contacts. Where are you at? Okay, so I live in these places. We check, okay, this is where you can access at a discount because you are in the community. Yes, so that's what we're able to bring. And then we came up with a concept. It's called Nominate to Unwind.
Okay.
Now, so that Nominate to Unwind helps us to see the value of the community. So somebody looks inside and checks the people around him or her and say, I see you. You are tired. You need to unwind.
You need to unwind.
Yes. And put your name forward. And not only put your name forward, goes into the community and say, this person has been nominated on the Nominate to Unwind movement. Let's rally around him or her and vote him until he wins. And that has been happening every month. Yes, it has been happening. And in fact, to make it even better, we started the city nomination. And then the city nomination for November is strictly for women. Okay. Yes, it's a 20 women concept. So 20 women will be unwinding in Lagos and in Abuja. Oh, we hope we come to Ibadan soon. Okay. Yes, so we work with partners, as I said. A partner came up from Houston, and she is funding both Abuja
and Lagos.
And Lagos. And
so what plans do you have for Ibadan?
Oh, in fact, I would. This is a call to well-meaning corporate organizations, well-meaning individuals, even the government, you know, who can support us on this project. We have partners giving us good discounts, yes, to pay for this, but it would change these women. It will give them a better avenue to rest, you know, to see that they still have people who care about them, people who see them, because a lot of these people, they have been living selflessly. Selflessly, they are kind people. They are just overwhelmed. They are just overwhelmed, and they just need somebody to say, I see you, and I think I can help you.
You should take a break.
Yes.
Okay, now, how can storytelling, we are still coming back to Unwind Africa, but very quickly I want to take this. How can storytelling, media, creative expression, tools you use to become vehicles of emotional restoration and societal change?
So you would see that a whole lot of things that I've been saying, I've been trying to insight.
You've been doing a little bit of storytelling.
A little bit of storytelling. We are Africans, and Africans is known for stories. In fact, the better way to send out messages is to appeal to the emotions of individuals, and nothing better appeals to people's emotions than
tell a compelling story.
Exactly. And that's what we do in the house too. We ask people to send in their heartfelt stories of different individuals. And I think that's, you know, it would apply across board, whether you are in the media or you're trying to help us, you know, push these stories across. You make it heartfelt. You make it believable, because it is, until it hits somebody who is able to step in and do something great about it.
Okay, now, there are so many people who ask a lot of questions about, especially people who are watching us today, and if one feels emotionally exhausted or stuck, so where does the journey to healing, where does it begin?
Number one, it's a self-reflection thing. I would always say there are two 10 two-letter words that is where that I hold there. It said, if it is to be, it is up to me. There are 2 letters each. There are 10 of them.
If it is to be, it is up to me.
Oftentimes, you cannot force people to relax. We can do as much as we are doing now, me and you, talking about it. We on Unwind Africa coming up with concept strategies, you know, to help people to relax. But if a man says, I cannot, there is very little we can do. I say very little because we have also found the little. They said you cannot force a donkey to the river, right? No, you can take a donkey to the river. You can't force it to drink water. But we have also realized that if you put salt in the donkey's mouth, he will drink water by himself. So we need to come up with strategies to force these individuals to rest by force. We have created concepts like that in Unwind Africa. We have. So we would just call us. We know we have a way. Oh, my dad is not resting. I'm worried. Something's going to happen to him. We know what to do in such cases like that.
Just like you mentioned, I was talking to a legal luminary a few days ago, and they mentioned that the day he reduced his screen time at night, it got better.
Yes, that helps too. That helps too. So 30 minutes before you sleep, if you can help it. Because you see these devices, you know, as much as they are helping us, it's very helpful. I don't know what I'll do without mine. It's very helpful. But everything should be balanced. Sleep and screen do not always work. So you would not drop your screen until you're ready to sleep. And then you find out that you eventually sleep and then you are restless. When you wake up, it feels like you have not actually, have I slept at all? And you have.
And when
you can wake up with nagging headache.
The next thing they do is to pick up the phone again and start over.
Right there. Right there. That's where the problem is. In fact, what's the, you know, specialist, the professional said is that leave your devices in another room. Because these things has a way of messing up with our emotions. When the first thing you take up in the morning is close to your day, you don't know who has dropped what. It scroll through your WhatsApp messages, your mails. It may be good news, it may be bad news. And that messes up, especially if from the point of exhaustion, it messes up the rest of your day. And that energy is what you take up, you take out. Yes. First, it starts to reflect on your family. Then you take it to work. And why is your guy cranky now? Is it my fault? And then your employees start to react. They don't do their work as effective as they should. But imagine a man who is fully rested or a woman who is fully rested goes into work with a smile and calls everybody by name, smiling. Hey, how are you today? How was your night? You know, what do you think? What energy do you think will come out of that office place that day? It's going to be a very good vibe because you only receive what you give.
All right, very quickly, I want to talk about, before we go, because we have about 2 minutes before the end of the show.
Oh, wow.
And there's this idea I saw from people in Asia, especially, I think, China, is that they created safe spaces for people. I saw a video of a child who was in class and was writing an exam and felt like she wanted to sleep and then left the exam, left it there, went to sleep and came back to finish the exam. That was one. Two, at airports, there are safe places. If you feel tired, you just open, it's more or less like a one-room cubicle where you can just enter and then you take a nap. And when you are done, you lock and then you walk away. These are things that are being done in Asian countries. Why can't we imbibe that character in a country like Nigeria, especially at workplaces?
I think we can. It begins with you and I. The individuals who are in the position of taking such decisions, the leaders who are looking out for the people they say they care about. If this is working in other nations, let's do it here. Let's implement it here. A safe place in a company is doable. I need to rest. I have a nagging headache. You go in there, you rest. You come back. You cannot come back not feeling okay. You may not be 100% yet, but something would have shifted. Yes, that will make you better. And that's what we should emulate. The good things that are happening all around the world. Let's bring it back home and make this Nigeria a better place. All
right, before we go on the show this morning, what would you say to our viewers this morning who, just like we said earlier, are not resting and they are doing so much?
Rest is a call. It's your right. It's your responsibility. And if you want to keep doing the things you love, you need to learn to pause because you cannot pour from an empty glass. The world is waiting for your impact, but you cannot achieve it unless you are fine. Rest, pause, and you'll be all right.
All right, Olajimoke Ogundekwe, thank you for joining us in the studio this morning.
Thank you, sir.
It has been an eye-opening and, in fact, a very big one from you this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. We do hope to have you on the show some other time.
I'll be glad to.
All right, and that brings us to the end of the big story on Daybreak Live. A big thank you to my guest this morning, Olajimoke Ogundekwe, for reminding us that emotional healing is not a luxury. It's a leadership tool and a life skill. In fact, I want to quote that. It's a life skill. When we learn to rest, reflect, and rise, we not only become better individuals, but also build better families, better workplaces, and a better nation. Samson Balogo is my name. Until next time, keep rising from within.
Live from the heart of the action. Welcome to the nerve center of Next Level Broadcasting.
This is the OB van, where the studio meets the street.
Equipped with cutting-edge cameras, crystal clear audio, real-time switching, and broadcast control, we don't just capture moments, we deliver the experience live.
Anywhere, anytime, from stadiums to red carpets, breaking news to buzzing festivals, weddings, birthdays, and all sorts of ceremonies. We bring the world to your screen in real time.
It's not just a van, it's a complete mobile production house, a command center, a broadcast beast.
This is more than a broadcast. This is the OB van difference. Live, loud, limitless.
Ready to go live? Like never before. Book the OB van today and take your event to the world. One powerful broadcast at a time.
To book, call 0705 506 1061 or 0916 101 1061. Email marketing@dominion.org.ng or visit our socials on Instagram @Dominion Broadcast.
Dominion Broadcast, your channel of choice.
All right, welcome back from that short break. The show is still Daybreak Live Extra on Dominion Television, the Friday edition, and we say thank God it's Friday on this dial. All right, let's go straight to Trend Watch this morning, and still with me in the studio, the three Musketeers. We are still here. Anyway, Oluwayemi Adelakun is here, and then Oluwapo Idu is also here this morning, and we're about to discuss something really interesting. I mean, it will interest so many people out there, including myself, because it affected me a few months ago, and really, I think the government should holistically look into housing in the country. And just yesterday, I think it just broke, House of Reps condemns alarming rent increase in Nigeria, calls for 20% maximum rise. I mean, 20% is even too much.
Some would say.
It's too much. But then, at least they are trying to move something. Maybe after 20%, we'll try to reduce it to maybe 10%.
10%.
I mean, you just have to start from somewhere.
Well, I know some persons would, contest against that to say that. Why? Because I've seen tweets online, some people are saying, you cannot really tell me how much I want to charge for my house or for my apartment because I mean, no, how much I spend on those. But then I think it's not an excuse. We can be better persons. We can look at how
to be humans too.
Yes, we can be humans. But then sometimes, or most of the times, it's not even about the house owners. It's about the agent. I mean, I witnessed that one time what I was saying in the uni, because at the end of the day, when I was about leaving after 1 year, the landlady now called me and called myself and my roommate, okay, if you want to stay 1 more year, this is how much you pay. And I called my roommate and I was like, I don't want to display what happened, because I was like, and we paid this amount for total package. There is God. That was what happened. But then I didn't have plans to stay behind after 1 year, so we just left. So it's a sad one.
Benga Ujobi will not be happy with this conversation this morning. But unfortunately, we have to.
It's the truth.
The nail
it's
on
the
the
truth.
head.
Honestly.
You see, let's go through these things, and you realize the fact that a lot is wrong, and it's a systemic failure. In a country that has no structure, especially when it comes to housing, there'll be a problem. One of the challenges you have faced in Africa is we have failed to manage space. I mean, you go to places like UK, you have council houses. You go to the US, you have houses where it's strictly by the government, and you pay less. And, a particular building can house about 100 flats where about 100 people and 200 condos too, where it can house so many people. But everyone wants to build a house in Nigeria. Yes, it's an African thing, it's a life goal here. But an average white man really do not believe I must have a house of my own. In fact, if they do, when they are old, what they do is they eventually sell off and keep the money in their wallet and go to old people's home. And then they spend the rest of their lives there. They really do not care about all these things unless it is necessary. But in Africa, it is a life goal that you must have a structure. And it's how much that has affected us is that we have expanded so much into the bushes, especially places that are meant to be farmlands as we speak, that will feed the nation. Now, we have real estates there. it saddens me that places that used to be farmlands, and when you are traveling, you are already seeing so estates. I mean, 4, 5, 6 different estates. There is no structure on it. None, no structure whatsoever on it. Go to, from Ibadan to Ishayin, you witness what I'm trying to say. Or from here to Ijebu-Ode, you will see, I mean, just travel to Lagos. By your side, you will see different things, and you begin to wonder, at what year will people start living in these places? But the real estate agents, they have already gathered money, and then they have created an estate there. People are already buying, maybe for keep. I mean, what is the joy and what is the essence of buying lands for keep when that place can actually be a farmland that will feed the nation?
Feed the nation. Let me speak on what you've said very quickly on the sociology of this particular conversation. Now, you mentioned that we don't manage spaces. In developed countries, they have what they call intensive housing systems, like you also
by the government.
But usually, and then it makes sense because they get the revenue back to the government. It makes sense in a sense. Now, let's see what I'm trying to say, that Nigeria is not as big. We are big, but we are not the biggest. We are on the 14th list. I mean, 14th grade
on the list,
on the list in Africa. That's Africa. Algeria is quite bigger. DR Congo is bigger. Many other countries, even Chad, the ones that are close, some of them are quite bigger than Nigeria. Nigeria is just about 923,000 kilometers square. Now, I'll tell you one. United States, there are 3 states in the United States can make the whole of Nigeria. That's how big it is. But they still have this kind of systems, intensive housing systems. What does it speak to? It speaks to the fact that they want to maximize whatever portion of land they have. We have so much resources and land resources that we don't know how to manage it. Now, for example, do you know how many structures are in Lagos in terms of housing? So many. Lagos is just about 3,233 kilometers square.
Space there.
That's about the land mass in Lagos, right? In Ibadan, or your state particularly, is about 28,784,000. You can fact check what I'm trying to say because it's true. Because this is like my aspect. So if you take the environmental implication of this is what I'm saying. Every house wants, like you said, we want to have a structure. Everybody wants to have a structure. Every house would want to have a borehole. When you can, everybody can, okay, let's say we have one borehole on the street and everybody uses the water, but we don't want that. We want to have it's my thing. It's a sociological kind of thing for us. Okay, yes, I'm a owner of Kinikon, so we want to say that. But at the end of the day, it affects the ozone layer. It affects even the earth crust. Now, if everybody digs borehole, someday, somehow, nature will call. And if it calls big, because that's why
it's happened somewhere in Shaki. I think that's a few years ago. That's just about 2 years ago, where there was land shift and then some buildings cracked. So there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do about it. You cannot live in that house anymore. You have to demolish and rebuild again. And if care is not taken, you might not even be able to live on that particular land again because you don't know what will happen in the next few years again. It might be worse than what just happened.
Exactly, because we are causing damage to this soil because the earth crust is supposed to be compact. So everybody's drilling. You see a drill here, a drill here, a drill here. Over time, when there's compression, where there are forces, all of those things will crumble, and then the land might even get degraded. The houses that you even destroyed to build will still come down at the end of the day. But let me take it away from there. I've seen a lot of cases where, like you mentioned, agents are the problem. They do these things. You see 100% increment in just 1 year, and you ask them, is there any refurbishment? No. Is there any new thing that is changing? No. You see a lot of things happening at the same time, at a very fast rate. People are just saying, I want to do this. Now, if we have the Senate moving for this, I think it's a good one because now we know that you cannot do more than 20% maximum.
Okay. I think, let me speak on the first issue that you mentioned about people, digging borehole. I don't have problems with that. You can actually do that then. But my problem is people who do that and then they make life difficult for persons who live close to them. I know people in my estate that they have boreholes and you are allowed to fetch whenever you want to fetch. So that's a good one. And back to people building houses. I also don't have a problem with people building houses because do you know that people are still buying lands? There are several places in Nigeria whereby no matter the number of acres you want to buy, you still get it. But then my problem is when you finally build that house and maybe people now want to rent and then you make it so difficult for people to actually pay. Yes, you have incurred a lot in trying to get the good materials and the likes. So my concern now is the federal government or the Senate can come into this area and not just the FCT alone because I think it has to do with the FCT now. How can we regulate, the price, the rent fees? That's my issue now.
That's where structure comes in.
It's a big problem. Just like I mentioned, when I later heard the amount that was paid, that the agent paid to my landlady, I was
there are
shocked.
several things you paid for that you did not know. There is caution, there is agreement, and so many others. So let's not go into it. Let's just say a few comments before we go.
Really.
This one says, Oyedikaji says, someone should remind me the percentage increase in minimum and how long it took them to approve it. So that's a comment from there. There's another comment, that's also on No Joe Chase, says, First, introduce mass housing. Secondly, seize properties rented out to criminals. And there will be price control. Yes, you get to see some. There are areas in Ibadan where you cannot even go there. These so-called Yahoo boys are there already, and they are willing to pay any price. In fact, they are looking for self-compound.
Let me give
it
you
will
an
be just
instance.
one person living in that compound. And then if you want to get that kind of rent, you cannot afford. Probably they say, oh, it's 2 million naira. You are looking at, oh, in this area, 2 million naira for what exactly? I mean, you want to calculate how much it costs you to leave that area and go to work on a daily basis. And these are things you factor into, what you spend on a yearly basis. I mean, your income also has to play a role.
A woman posted a video yesterday and she was almost crying. She said the rent initially was not even up to 750, but then recently, because some Yahoo guys moved to the area and the landlord decided to increase the price and shoot it up to
they will increase and tell you to move out if you cannot pay.
And the saddest part is that those guys paid. They paid like instantly, and then she doesn't know how to pay, but she mentioned that she will have to look for the money to pay because the area is good and the light. So it's a sad one. Yahoo boys are doing their own. Agents are also doing their own. The sad part is most of these agents, they are looking for Yahoo boys because they are the ones that can actually pay the kind of amount that they are looking for.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it's a lot to unpack, but unfortunately, we cannot take all the comments,
want of
and they are
time,
really
yes,
interesting comments.
yes.
But we have to go this morning. We say thank
Yeah.
you to everyone for being a part of the show so far. It has been a wonderful week, and a very big thank you to every crew member that has been a part of this week. We say thank you to you, and to the management crew, we say thank you. Until next week, we shall be meeting again on another fresh edition of Daybreak Live on this dial. Don't forget, today is Friday, TGIF. Enjoy yourself, but be cautious about it. Samson Balogun is my name.
Thank you for being a part of the show. Ensure that you get all the rest that you need during the weekend and be prepared for next week. My name is Oluwayemi Adilaku. I'm saying good morning.
And of course, take good care of yourself. That's what I would say to you. My name is Anulu Akwedu. Thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.